Your 20s as a Muslim are basically financial quicksand. You're standing there watching everyone around you finance expensive cars they can't afford, taking out student loans for degrees that might land them a job at Starbucks, getting engaged with marred expectations that require 6-month saving sprints, and somehow convincing themselves that DoorDashing halal 3 times a week is a reasonable budget item. Meanwhile, you're probably wondering if you should be doing something different with your money, or if you're destined to join the brothers who complain at the masjid about being broke while their cars in the parking lot tell a different story. Here's something that might shock you. The purchases you make in your 20s as a practicing Muslim will determine whether you spend your 30s building real halal wealth or still living paycheck to paycheck inside a stack of riba-bearing credit cards. Most Muslims get this completely backwards. They think their 20s are for spending and their 30s are for getting serious. That's like saying you'll start memorizing Quran the day before the Ramadan recitation. My name is Omar and I've spent way too much time analyzing why some Muslims escape the financial hamster wheel while others run on it their entire lives. If you're tired of watching your bank balance hover around the same depressing number month after month, subscribe and hit that like button. Because today we're going to talk about the 7 purchases that can change the trajectory of your entire financial future inside the halal frame. These are lessons from watching brothers and sisters succeed and fail with money, including the spectacularly dumb moves I've watched and the quietly disciplined ones nobody talks about. Most people approach their 20s completely backwards. They think this is the time to live it up. The brothers who understand compound returns know your 20s are when small, smart decisions create massive results down the road. $100 invested wisely in screened equities at 25 becomes thousands at 50. $100 spent on impressing the auntie network becomes nothing but a faded memory and maybe some credit card riba. So let's start with purchase number 1. Investing in a side hustle that uses your existing skills. Now I know what you're thinking, Omar, a side hustle isn't a purchase. Hear me out. The most successful side hustles require some upfront investment to get started properly. Whether it's equipment for halal-aligned photography for Muslim weddings, a website domain and hosting for an Islamic finance newsletter, tools for a Muslim-owned service business, or books and courses to learn a valuable skill, starting a side hustle almost always requires putting some money down first. In your Muslim 20s, this might be the single best investment you can make because it has the potential to change your financial trajectory faster than anything else, and the income is structurally halal because you're earning it through providing real value rather than through interest. The beautiful thing about side hustles in your 20s is that you probably don't have a halal mortgage, kids in full-time Islamic school, or aging parents needing remittances weighing you down yet. You can take risks. If you fail, you can bounce back. If you succeed, you might never have to navigate the conventional 401k and halal mortgage compromise stack at all. Build on your existing strengths. If you're a software engineer, build a Muslim-aligned app. If you're a CPA, offer zakat calculation consultations. If you're a teacher, build a halal finance course for younger Muslims. Find the intersection of your skills and the community's underserved needs. The brothers and sisters who consistently outperform in side hustles in our community are the ones who solved a specific problem they personally faced. The Muslim wedding photographer who knew the cultural expectations because he just got married, the halal finance content creator who built her IRA strategy after dealing with the default fund problem herself, the brother who launched the Zabiha meat delivery service after spending 6 years driving 40 minutes to the nearest halal butcher. Your lived experience as a Muslim is a competitive advantage almost no general personal finance creator can replicate. The second purchase that can change your life is investing in halal index funds, specifically through a Roth IRA via Wahed Invest or a self-directed Schwab or Fidelity account holding HLAL, SPUS, SPSK, or individual Zoya screened equities. This is where compound returns inside Sharia screened equities really show their power, and your 20s are when you have the ultimate unfair advantage: time. If you invest just $200 a month into a screened equity portfolio starting at age 22, and that investment grows at the historical screened market average of around 8 to 10% annually, you'll have over $1 million by 67. $200 a month for 45 years equals $1 million, less than $7 a day, creating millionaire status inside the deen. Here's the kicker. If you wait until 32 to start the same plan, you'll end up with about $700,000 instead. Waiting 10 years cost you $300,000 in the long run. This is why your Muslim 20s matter so much. The beauty of screened index funds is that they're the boring, reliable friend of the investment world. They don't promise to make you rich overnight, but they consistently outperform most actively managed funds, have low fees, and spread your risk across hundreds of screened companies instead of betting on individual stocks. Through a Roth IRA, your gains grow completely tax-free, and the contribution side has already cleared its tax treatment, so the zakat math on the back end stays clean. Automate the contribution every payday so the money gets invested before you even see it in checking. The Wahid US minimum is just $100, and the wrap fee is 0.99% under $250,000. If you never see the cash, you won't spend it. Purchase number 3 is something that might seem frivolous but can be one of the smartest investments you make. Buy a plane ticket, including for Umrah and Hajj, while you're young and physically capable. Travel while you're young, but do it strategically. This isn't about blowing your savings on luxury vacations to look impressive on Instagram. Travel in your 20s builds confidence in ways nothing else can. When you figure out how to navigate Mecca, Medina, Istanbul, or Cairo on your own, communicate despite language gaps, and solve problems in unfamiliar environments, you develop a self-reliance that serves you for life. And specifically for Muslims, performing Umrah in your 20s when your body is strong is meaningfully different than putting it off to your 60s when many brothers struggle to complete the rites comfortably. The deen rewards intention and effort, and the experience of standing in front of the Kaaba in your 20s shapes the next several decades of your financial decision-making in ways that pay back many times over. The smart way to do this on a budget is to maximize travel rewards points programs from cards you pay off in full every single month. Never carry a balance, never pay interest, just collect the points. Some scholars allow this strategy because you never actually engage in riba. Others advise avoiding even the appearance. Ask your scholar. Either way, look hard at off-season Umrah packages, which can run $2,500 to $3,500 per person from major US cities. Beyond Umrah, the secular travel argument applies in our community too. Brothers and sisters who've spent time in Muslim-majority countries during their 20s, Turkey, Egypt, Malaysia, Morocco, the Gulf, return with a different baseline understanding of what a Muslim-aligned life can look like. They see how non-Muslim minority experience shapes their American Muslim assumptions, and they often come back with sharper clarity on what they actually want their financial life to support. The fourth life-changing purchase is education, but not the kind that puts you $100,000 in debt. I'm talking about books, online courses, workshops, and any learning that increases your skills and value in the marketplace. A $20 book can change your entire mindset about money inside the deen. A few $100s on a legitimate course can teach you skills that increase your income by thousands. Avoid the $997 courses from people posing next to rented cars whose interest payments are riba anyway. Focus on people who've actually built halal wealth. Joe Bradford's content, the Islamic Finance Guru Framework, AIOIFI Aligned Writing, and Al-Maghrib's Financial Literacy Programming are great starting points. Layer on top secular skills you can actually monetize. Coding, digital marketing, sales, copywriting, video editing. Your brain is most adaptable in your 20s, which means you can learn new skills faster than you'll ever be able to again. Every skill becomes part of your arsenal for the rest of your life and increases your halal earning capacity. The deen-aligned education angle matters too. Brothers and sisters who invest in actually understanding Islamic finance, not surface-level ribabad framing, but the substantive AAOIFI standards, the historical fiqh, the contemporary scholarly debates, make dramatically better decisions when they sit down with a guidance salesperson or read a Wahed prospectus. They aren't relying on the brochure's marketing claims. They can evaluate the contract themselves and then take the specific question to a scholar with informed context, which is way more productive than asking, is this halal cold? Purchase number 5 is the big one that scares most Muslims in their 20s but can absolutely transform your financial future. Real estate with a halal-aware structure. I know what you're thinking. Omar, I can barely afford halal groceries, let alone a house. There are creative ways to make this work, even if you're not rolling in cash, but the halal frame requires some additional creativity. Real estate accelerates wealth building through 3 mechanisms. Properties generally appreciate. If you rent part of the property out, you get income that helps cover ownership costs, and you control a valuable asset with a relatively small down payment. Though for Muslims, the leverage question is more nuanced because the financing wrapper matters. If you can afford a cash purchase of a small property and house hack by renting rooms, you skip the halal mortgage debate entirely. If you need financing, Guidance Residential, UIF, the post-merger Lariba Riba platform, and Devon Bank all offer Sharia-compliant home purchase plans, though scholarly views on these contracts differ. Get yours from a scholar you trust. The wealth-building potential is enormous if you make this move thoughtfully in your 20s, but it's not the default move for every Muslim. It depends on your specific market, income, and scholarly framing. The sixth purchase might sound boring, but is one of the most important financial decisions you'll make in your Muslim 20s. Buy cheap, reliable transportation. Notice I didn't say buy a car, I said transportation. There's a massive difference, and understanding it could save you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime and keep you out of riba structures entirely. Most Muslims in their 20s think they need a nice car to look successful at the masjid parking lot. They finance $30,000 vehicles using either conventional auto loans, riba, or halal car financing products. Still debated, with profit rates close to conventional and depreciation curves identical. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses thousands in value. It's like lighting money on fire, except less fun, and you still have payments. Buy a 3 to 5-year-old Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, or something similarly reliable for $10,000 to $15,000. Pay cash if you can. These cars will run 200,000 plus miles with reasonable maintenance, and they're cheap to insure and repair. The money you save by not having a car payment can go into your Wahed account instead. If you avoid a $500 monthly car payment and invest that money at 8% returns inside screened equities, after 30 years you'll have over $600,000. That's the real cost of having a car payment in your Muslim 20s. Not just the money you pay, but the money you didn't invest, plus the deen-aligned outcome of staying outside contested financing structures entirely. The seventh and final purchase that can change your life is investing in your health. This one gets overlooked constantly because the benefits aren't immediately obvious and the costs of ignoring it don't show up right away. But your health determines everything else. How hard you can work, how long you can pursue your goals, how much energy you have for your side hustle, whether you'll actually be around to enjoy the wealth you're building. Whether you can perform Hajj when you've saved up the package. I'm not talking about $200 a month gym memberships you won't use. I'm talking about the basics most Muslims in their 20s ignore because they think they're invincible. Good halal food instead of living off DoorDash gyros. Regular sleep instead of pulling all-nighters every week. Some form of movement that doesn't involve walking from the couch to the fridge. Your 20s are when you establish habits that either support your goals or sabotage them for decades. The deen actually provides a lot of built-in habit architecture here. Wudu before each prayer keeps you hydrated and slows you down 5 times a day. The physical movement of Salah itself, when done attentively, is essentially a low-intensity functional movement protocol scheduled 5 times daily. Fasting during Ramadan and the optional Mondays and Thursdays is metabolic flexibility training the modern wellness industry charges thousands of dollars to teach. Use what's already there in the deen. Now, here's what ties all 7 purchases together. They're about playing the long game instead of optimizing for short-term gratification. Every single one requires you to think differently than most Muslims your age. While everyone else is focused on looking successful at the next walima, you're focused on actually becoming successful over decades. This is where compound returns apply to more than just dollars. Every good decision in your 20s compounds. Every side hustle skill makes you more valuable. Every dollar in screened equities grows exponentially. Every Umrah experience reshapes your priorities for the next 40 years. The opposite is also true. Riba debt compounds against you, both financially and in the ledger you can't see. Car payments prevent you from investing. Neglecting your health creates problems that get more expensive to fix over time. Your 20s aren't just decisions about today. They're decisions about the trajectory of your entire adult life as a Muslim. The mistake most brothers make is thinking these 7 purchases are separate decisions when they're actually all connected. Your side hustle success depends on your health and energy. Your ability to invest in screened equities depends on not having massive car payments. Your travel experiences can lead to business connections that accelerate your halal side hustle. Your real estate investments can provide income that gives you freedom to take bigger risks. When you understand how these reinforce each other, you stop making decisions that compete for your limited resources and start making decisions that compound. The psychological aspect is crucial, and most financial advice in our community ignores it. Making smart purchases in your 20s requires you to be comfortable being different from your peer group. While your friends are financing new cars and stretching for premium Umrah packages, you're buying boring screened index funds and driving a 5-year-old Honda. While they're complaining at the masjid about being broke, you're quietly building a halal foundation that will support you and your future Farid heirs for decades. Can you handle the anti-network thinking you're cheap or behind? Can you resist upgrading your lifestyle every time you get a raise? Can you stick with your investment plan when the market drops and everyone around you is panicking and the cousin keeps texting you about the new halal crypto coin? These aren't just financial decisions, they're character-building exercises that determine what kind of Muslim you become. The habits you develop now will determine how you handle money for the rest of your life. If you learn to live below your means, automate your halal investments, and resist lifestyle inflation in your 20s, you'll naturally continue as your income increases. But if you develop a pattern of spending everything you earn and justifying purchases based on emotions instead of long-term math, that pattern becomes incredibly difficult to break later. The Muslims who build real halal wealth aren't smarter or more disciplined than everyone else. They just developed better money habits earlier and let compound returns do the heavy lifting inside the deen. Your 20s will pass by whether you make smart financial decisions or not. The only question is whether you'll look back at 30 wondering where all your money went, or whether you'll be sitting on a halal foundation that gives you actual choices about how to spend your life. As always, the math is the math. The scholarly views on specific products and contracts genuinely differ, and your final ruling on credit card point strategies, halal car finance, halal mortgage products, or any specific purchase has to come from a scholar you trust who knows your situation. These 7 purchases aren't just about building wealth, they're about becoming the kind of Muslim who understands that real success isn't impressing strangers with stuff you can't afford. It's having the freedom to wake up every morning and decide what you want to do with your day instead of what you have to do to pay bills, and the bandwidth to actually live the deen instead of constantly compromising on it because the math doesn't allow anything else. Start with one of these purchases today because 10 years from now you'll either thank yourself or wish you had.